Welcome back to r/JustNoHOA, where people share stories about their crazy homeowner associations that make us feel better about not living in an HOA. And in case you are new around here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to join our awesome community. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. This one is titled, "Am I the a-hole for installing solar on my house?" The backstory: we live in a semi-dense suburban neighborhood. We bought this house new about 6 years ago, one of the neighbors moved out about 2 years ago and the new neighbors moved in. After about a week they came over and said the wife has MS and is sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies and dirty electricity. I was asked to install a cover over our electrical smart meter because they believe dirty electricity, Wi-Fi and smart meters change your DNA and exacerbate her MS symptoms. While thinking they are cuckoo, I oblige and install the cover because it doesn't do any harm to me. Go back 2 weeks and we are having our house mapped for new solar panels and Tesla Powerwalls, and the husband notices the solar truck. Long story short, he tried to get the HOA to block approval of our solar panels citing dirty electricity and tried claiming the ADA should stop us. I know enough about the law from previous professional lives to know it doesn't apply to private single-family residences. I sent a note to the HOA explaining in no uncertain terms I will get a lawyer involved in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail if they block it, providing 10+ articles from high-impact journals including 2 meta-studies. The HOA attorney wrote me back asking if I was willing to oblige on any of his accommodation requests, and these included moving our entire electrical panel and system to the other side of the house and installing very specific components which cost 50% more. I told the attorney these were not reasonable accommodations and would not humor him. They approved our plan. He is now painting his side of the house with Wi-Fi and electromagnetic blocking paint and is upset because these measures on his end will cost him thousands of dollars, destroy his DNA and make his wife's MS symptoms worse. Am I the a-hole? Update: related event after the solar decision, we are having our house painted and he told the painters they couldn't put their ladders on his side of the property to get back at me. He was taking it out on the painters and was quite proud that they might have to bring in scissor lifts until I told him it was a fixed price quote. I went over and told him if he was going to be petty, I would be too. I let him know if this was how he would act, I would add 2 high-power routers on that side of the house, remove his smart meter block, add a couple of Wi-Fi cameras, report his unpermitted electrical work, and take up ham radio. 10 minutes later he went and told the painters they could put the ladder on his property. So guys, please let us know in the comments, do you think that OP is the a-hole in this story or not? And in addition, please don't forget to like the video and maybe even post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support the channel. Thank you so much in advance, it really means the world to me and it helps me out tremendously. This one is titled, "We need to shorten our hedge to 3 feet maximum?" Okay. I was reminded of this by some recent stories here about HOAs, residential fences and so on. Hope you enjoy. My husband and I developed an unpleasant relationship with one of our neighbors, mostly because this lady liked to adopt kittens, whom we actually adore, and then basically throw them outside where they invaded our backyard and preyed on cute native wildlife like tiny birds, chipmunks, bunnies and so on. There is a bylaw against this and we made some use of it while she lived next door. After a couple of years we found out that she was selling and moving away. Yay! However, she was still mad at us and she shared her feelings with her real estate agent. The agent thought it over and called the very nice and polite bylaw officer to visit us because the hedge between our 2 properties was technically too high. It was maybe 6 feet high and needed to be half that. There is no real reason for this rule since we are on the outside of a bend in the road and visibility is fine, but whatever. My husband readily agreed to have at this lush, beautiful green hedge and got out there right away with his heaviest equipment. I quickly realized why he was so cheerful about this big job. As he cut the hedge to half its height, of course most of the greenery was trimmed away and the result was a stark and temporarily sad-looking collection of bare branches and twigs. He carefully cleaned up after himself and we kept an eye out for the agent. We were so lucky to be there when she next arrived and emerged from her car. Let's say that my husband's malicious compliance did not exactly improve the curb appeal of the next door property. She stood there for some time and then noticed us regarding her from our living room with gratified expressions and marched away. So very satisfying, we still sometimes mention it to each other. And ripe stars, I am wondering, have you ever had any instances of any sort of revenge and especially petty revenge on your neighbors? If you have any stories to share, please feel free to either share them in the comments or on r/ripe stories on Reddit. And the next one goes like this, entitled Mother Trespassing to My House. Well, my neighborhood is full of entitled parents that will go nuts because of stupid stuff. Someone threatened to go to court because of a pink door, and this gives me a lot of material for stories I hadn't posted. Cast as me and my dad as MD. Entitled Mother as EM, entitled Kid as EK, and well, let's get to the story. I have a big back garden that is flat and that will bring the neighborhood kids to my house before we moved in, and after that we have had to explain to a lot of Karens why their precious angels cannot play in our yard. And since we also started growing some vegetables and fruits, strawberries, some of the kids will come to steal them. So now let's actually start with this. I woke up late, my parents had taken my sister to a Girl Scout activity and I start hearing noises coming from our deck. When I moved the curtain, expecting to see a bird or a squirrel, I see a white woman and her son. Me? Who are you and what are you doing here? EM, that is not for you to know. You are probably just a squatter living here, so F off and leave us alone. EK, yeah, F off. Me, who do you think you are, Karen? I live here with my parents and you are trespassing, and if you don't leave, I am calling the cops. I see my dad's car and hear the garage door opening. EM hears it too, but makes a run for it, but she trips with the water hose. I notice she is carrying a basket with strawberries, tomatoes and some of the herbs we have. Me, you dirty thieves, get the hell out of here. My dad opens the door and sees the woman and asks me in Spanish. My dad, who is that? Me, she's a thief. I found she is here with her son picking up our crops. MD, you have 5 effing seconds to go before I call the cops. EM gets up, grabs EK by the arm and flees. My dad takes a picture and sends it to the HOA. Some days later we found out she was a member of the HOA and she lost her position. Well guys, who would have thought? Steal some strawberries and other crops and lose your HOA board position. The next one is the title story and it is titled Homeowner Fights with HOA, Gets Thousands of Dollars in Settlement and Wins. A Central California couple claimed their homeowners association threatened to foreclose on their house for a debt they did not even owe. Wendy Richmond and her husband have raised 6 children and lived in an HOA neighborhood for 28 years. They had a 3-year battle with the homeowners association to save their house, but the whole situation still seems unreal to them. They put me through hell, Richmond said. She had not paid her association's annual dues on time. The Lake West Property Owners Association added late fees. Richmond delivered a check for $892 to cover everything she owed. Did you fear losing your house? A curious reporter asked. Yes, they told me all the time. You have 30 days or we are foreclosing. 1 month after Richmond says she paid in full, the association filed a lien against her home to collect unpaid dues and fees. It is the first step towards foreclosure. The motion was filed by H&S Attorneys, a new law firm the association was using. But Richmond had paid the association's previous attorney right before the switch. She has a receipt to show the full payment was received, but according to Richmond, H&S Attorneys kept insisting she owed $1,300. Richmond said she took her case to the Lake West HOA meeting. I thought for sure once I showed all the evidence in front of the board with all my neighbors, it would be done and over, she said. But she claims the HOA president blamed her for paying the wrong law firm and then refused to end the foreclosure threat. "Did it feel like a runaway train coming right at you?" a reporter asked her. "Oh yeah, and there was no stopping it. That's why I had to get an attorney involved," Richmond said. Richmond hired consumer attorney Richard Lee. "Did this HOA and its law firm cross the line?" a reporter asked. "It did in a dramatic way," Lee responded. Lee says it is common for some HOAs and their law firms to hit homeowners with punishing fees for late dues, and he says California association laws offer little protection. But this time Lee filed a federal lawsuit claiming the HOA and its law firm violated the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Both of these statutes protect customers from collections that had already been paid, from harassment and abuse in the collection process, Lee said. The association and HNS settled before trial. Without admitting wrongdoing, both agreed to pay Richmond $33,000 in damages. Lee says that sends a message that abusive associations need to be careful when collecting from consumers, careful to follow the law. The law firm also said it took the homeowner's claim seriously and could not comment further because of the litigation. "Now they've got to pay you $33,000? a reporter asked. "Yep, karma," Richmond replied. Homeowners doing battles with their HOAs should document all payments, get receipts, and if the dispute involves debt collection, homeowners have rights that will be honored in court. And guys, actually I gotta say, we have read so many HOA stories now, and usually when people fight back against their HOA, it seems like more often than not the homeowners actually win. However, in these situations it often seems that the homeowners are simply too scared to fight against the HOA. So in the end, you just gotta stand up against this big HOA bully, and maybe you will even succeed in the end. In addition guys, I am really curious. I know that some of my viewers are actually living in an HOA, and I would love to know, has your HOA become even more crazy since the pandemic started, or has everything stayed the same? Please let us know in the comments. And the next one is titled, HOA shuts down snow cone truck in our front yard, Karen flips her lid and the neighborhood hates us. So, as you all know, Mr. Virus 19 is making his way around the world. We should all be practicing social distancing, stay inside, etc. Well, this afternoon I look outside my bedroom window and find a snow cone truck in our front yard. Literally, in our yard. I told my dad and he was kind of pissed off. But oh well. Not like he could do anything. I went to go clear my head and went for a drive around town. When I got back, there was an insane amount of children with their parents in our yard. I could barely get into our driveway. I took my dad to our neighborhood dock to check the tide to see if it would be a good time to go kayaking. It was, so we went back home again to an insane crowd of Jeremy children. We noticed a work truck from the HOA parked next to the snow cone truck, and my dad rolled his windows down and asked if he was shutting it down. He said yes. We pulled the truck out to load the kayaks and we overheard the new commotions. Miss Karens and her gremlins were yelling at the officer and the snow cone man. I would like to clarify at this point in the story that we live in a gated community. There are strict rules as to who can enter and when. The HOA provides contracting barcodes to get in with, and Mr. Snowcone must have had one. One major rule is, if you're going to cater or host any distracting events that may mess with the flow of traffic, you have to give notice or seek approval from the HOA office first. This man did not get approval and therefore was being shut down, especially because of the state of the world currently. Karen continues to yell and looks over at me and Dad, and she goes,
"They just shut us down because they are mad you're in their yard. We are just trying to get some ice cream, and it's not fair that people have already gotten some before us, and now we cannot."
And we literally never did anything to aid in the shutting down of the operation. I could not hear exactly what the HOA officer said, but it was something to the effect of, "Ma'am, this crowd is not practicing social distancing. There are too many people here risking the safety of everyone. We also never issued any approval for this man to set up here. He must leave." We continued to load the kayaks as all the Karens and Susans shot daggers in our direction. I'm pretty sure I even heard one use the typical line of,
"It is okay, dear. The mean man who won't let you get ice cream won't stop us."
As the man was packing up, there was at least 4 moms still waiting as the guy was shutting down. When the guy finally got in his truck to pull away, an older couple walked up and asked if he was done for the day. They were very sweet and I actually kind of felt bad for them, but just them, no one else. The man goes, "Yeah, we are done unfortunately." And in a very snarky tone goes, "The officer yelled at us and said we were not practicing social distancing even though we were. So now the fun is ruined and I have to go." And again looked at me and my dad as if we had anything to do with it. Long story short, half the neighborhood hates us for no reason and there's a very good chance they are gonna get sick soon. This is not part of the story but just a PSA. My father is a doctor and he has to work through this mess. He is risking infection every day to save the lives of people like our neighbors who don't know the magnitude of the situation. If people would take stay-at-home orders more seriously and actually practice good safety and not participate in things like this, the disease would plateau. Please just stay inside for 2 measly weeks and prevent further infection. And the first one is titled, "This trail is private. If I catch you here again, I will call the HOA. Just a bit of info, I live in a smallish neighborhood. There are several trail systems nearby, some of them are marked trails and others are glorified footpaths. I ride a mountain bike with friends on them because I am too lazy to drive to an actual park, but they aren't too shabby. The usual cast of me, my friend F, an entitled lady, EB, and her son/husband, AD. F and I are riding our bikes around our community, taking the occasional trail or going down stair sets. Nothing too interesting, but that sort of sums up me. We are getting ready to turn onto one of the larger trails when AD walks out of his garage. We didn't really know the guy, but I knew his mom/wife was pissy. I might post that story also. As we are turning into the trail, he yells out,
"That is not a bike trail."
That was one of the trails that was marked, but it was not marked as a designated bike trail. F points out that it doesn't say not to ride a bike on it, and AD cuts him off with,
"Shut it, douchebag."
That was just the first part. After that happened, we just started avoiding that area, but we were bound to go back there because the trail is pretty fun. Fast forward to today. F and I are back at that trail. We actually went down it and nothing bad happened. While we were coming back up the trail, it ends near a railroad and there isn't any other way to get back. We see EB sitting on the patio behind AD's house. As we are walking by, she starts yelling,
"Hey boys, you're not supposed to ride bikes back here."
F calls back, "Where does it say that?" There is a pause and she says,
"The trail sign says there are not any bikes."
It doesn't. I try to explain to her that the sign says, "Use trail at your own risk," but nothing about MTBs, but she cuts me off.
"Don't disrespect your elders."
She then tries to tell us that the trail is private property, even though the sign clearly states that it is for the public. I sort of laugh and say to F, "Let's just go. This Karen is not worth the argument." I said this almost under my breath, but apparently she has wizard ears.
"What did you call me? Karen? I know the president of the HOA and I will report you."
I tell F to leave and we hightail it out of there. And you know guys, one thing that I kind of miss ever since I went to Thailand is being able to ride a bicycle without the fear of being run over. Maybe this sounds a bit weird because a lot of you know that I enjoy riding motorcycles here, but in my opinion riding bicycles in this part of the world is extremely dangerous, especially in cities like Bangkok. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.